We are bringing you breaking news from all over Earth 541 million years ago. But don't worry, we'll stop right at 485.4 million years. Now to my co-host with the history.
Thanks, Hannah Kay. And I'm Hannah Kay. Today I will be bringing you through the events that began our Cambrian time period and ultimately brought it to an end. What was the start of the Cambrian period? Known as the Cambrian explosion, it marked the dramatic burst of evolutionary changes to life on Earth. We know this period began 541 million years ago because of a fossil record of worms that had formed horizontal burrows in Earth's ground. What ended this period, you may ask? The end of this period was around 490 or 485.4 million years, based on the evidence that we have of the fossil record of a mass extinction event. The mass extinction event was caused by a lack of oxygen combined with the poisonous hydrogen sulfide, killing off many of the Cambrian animals. This hurt and caused extinction of many of these shell-dwelling brachiopods and other animals. Now, before they died out, let's talk about the animals that existed. Now to you, Hannah Kay.
Thanks, Hannah Kay. Wow, I hope we don't have to deal with the mass extinction anytime soon. I'm the animals expert on set, Hannah Kay, and today I'll be going through the animals of the Cambrian era and just discussing how they relate to our modern day animals now. During the Cambrian period, more than 100 types of trilobites existed. A trilobite is an extinct marine arthropod that formed the class of Trilobita. What is interesting about them is they are assumed to have eyes, like today's bees or today's dragonflies. They also have a very similar body and spine structure to a modern-day horseshoe crab. There were plenty of other species living during the Cambrian period also. Mollusks, worms, sponges, and other organisms filled the Cambrian seas. There were other living things present that don't quite fit into any of our modern-day categories. Sponges also grew in the Cambrian seas. These animals had tiny pores in their bodies. One species of sponge from this period had many branches that made it look like a tree. Another type of sponge looked like an ice cream cone without the ice cream. Many of these sponges became extinct when temperatures dropped at the end of the Cambrian period. Animals at the top of the food chain during the Cambrian period was the Anomalocaris. It was one of the most fearsome hunters in the Cambrian seas. This animal had an exoskeleton like an arthropod, but did not have jointed legs that would ultimately make it a true arthropod. This animal would feed on trilobites, smaller arthropods, worms, and even mollusks. Now, isn't that scary looking? Hallucigenia stood on 7 pairs of tall legs. Its long, tube-shaped body had of tall spikes along its back. This type of protection would have been very important for the animal because it had no eyesight to warn itself from the dangers around. Many creatures living in the Cambrian seas developed hard structures for defense, hard shells, scales, and spikes covering the outside of their bodies. This animal is called Wilwaxia. It lived at the bottom of the sea. The dorsal side of its body had scales and spikes for protection, and the underside of this animal was soft and unprotected. Trilobites also living on the bottom could burrow under the Wilwaxia and attack its defenseless belly, or use it as protection against other animals. Those are the animals of the Cambrian period. Isn't it incredible that those animals existed millions and millions of years ago, and yet we still see their remains today? It just makes you wonder, what is going to remain millions and millions of years from now? Well, now to Hannah Kay with the atmosphere. Good morning! Isn't it a beautiful day in the Cambrian period? Our climate starts out a little chilly, so don't forget a coat. But as the time period goes on, temperatures will rise, allowing for the newest life forms to flourish in our warming seas. In a recent study, scientists have analyzed oxygen isotopes
of fossils found in prehistoric limestone that suggested the temperature of this time period was 20 degrees to 25 degrees Celsius, or for you Americans, 68 to 77 degrees Fahrenheit. Through these studies, our scientists have concluded Earth's climate was a typical greenhouse state. Now, to Hannah Kay with traffic reporting. How are you today? If any of you are trying to get anywhere mid-Cambrian period, you'll need a boat or a plane, since most of the planet is covered in water. Tectonic evidence suggests that our single supercontinent, Rodinia, broke apart, creating two continents, Gondwana and Laurenita. Gondwana will make up what is modern-day South America, Australia, Africa, Antarctica, and parts of Asia. Laurenita is mostly what will form North America and various parts of Europe. Back to you, Hannah Kay. Oh my god. Thanks for that informative report, Hannah Kay. The Cambrian marked a profound change in life on Earth. Prior to the Cambrian, the majority of living organisms were small, unicellular, and simple. Complex multicellular organisms gradually became more common in the millions of years immediately preceding the Cambrian. But it was not until that period that mineralized, hence readily fossilized organisms became common. The rapid diversification of life forms in the Cambrian, known as the Cambrian explosion, produced the first representations of all modern animals. Have a great day!